One UI 5 Beta 3 is now officially here, and it marks some nice changes and also how much closer we are to the final OTA version of Android 13 for Galaxy devices. It's time for round 3 of One UI 5, so let's see what's new and also what's been refined and fixed. Hi, Ben from SamMobile. If you enjoy new and exclusive videos like this, then be sure to like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos on YouTube with SamMobile TV. Here is our first look and breakdown of One UI 5 Beta 3. Let's dive straight in. As you can see from the software information section, the last 4 figures of the build number end with ZVI9, which is an upgrade from the previous ZVHK from Beta 2. Just for reference again, our model is the Exynos 2200 Galaxy S22 Ultra S908B model for UK and Europe, so access to Beta 3 will be dependent on your model and region. Let's look at some of the visual changes, starting with the lock screen and wallpapers. This indeed is the biggest addition and change visually to Beta 3 and brings full native customization to your lock screen. You can directly long press on the lock screen to enable the ability to start customizing your lock screen. From then, you have the option to start changing it to your liking. Starting from the top, the lock screen and date widget. You now have the option to pick between 6 font styles. You can then pick between 5 different clock and date styles directly from the lock screen as well. Next, you have 10 color options to select from, with 5 solid and 5 gradients, which affect the font. Right at the end of the far right, you have an option for full customization of colors, which opens up swatches, a full color spectrum, and 6 color slots to save your custom color options, as well as a hex, red, green, and blue input field to be exact with the color options you want to select. In the main color row, to the far left, there is a toggle to automatically blend and match the font colors to the lock screen wallpaper in use. One thing to note is that the 10 color options between the 5 solid and 5 gradient colors all change and adapt to the color of the wallpaper picture being used on a lock screen. Next is the notifications lock screen widget. You can now select between icon only and details. When selecting details, you will then get access to the transparency slider, which affects the background of the notification widget. There is also a toggle to auto reverse the text color of the notification based on the background color. Next is the option for contact information. As stated, this is to show info such as your phone number or even email address on a lock screen, so you can be contacted in the case that your phone has been lost. Next is the ability to change the left and right app shortcuts on the lock screen. When tapped into it, you have 2 categories of apps to select, which are apps with no unlock needed and apps that unlock is required. If we then go back to the clock and date lock screen widget, you can resize it to your liking, and when doing so, you notice that the different clock styles below also correspond and change with it in real time. If you then lock the phone to enable the always on display and then tap the display or power button, the clock widget expands with a smooth animation to the clock widget size you set when customizing. When you lock the screen to activate the always on display, you see the changes to the color and font style also active on the always on display. If we now go into the wallpaper settings and options, you can see another major revamp in how the wallpapers are categorized visually between featured, gallery, graphical, and colors, which are 2 new additions by the looks of it, and wallpaper services, showing you previews of the wallpaper styles in large thumbnails, which you can scroll through horizontally. The gallery section actually shows each visible album you have in your gallery with a 4-picture grid preview of each one. You can also access each wallpaper category by pressing on the title. If we go back to the 2 new wallpaper category sections, under graphical, there are 4 new wallpapers. And under colors, there are 9 new wallpapers with 3 gradient colors, 3 solid colors, and 3 with shapes in the design language. Going back to the wallpaper and styles menu, there is now a browse my wallpaper section you can select to take you into the new wallpapers category. A quick review and verdict. The changelog just does not do it justice how much Samsung have added, revamped, and improved when it comes to the customization and options of the lock screen and wallpapers. This is really nice. Next major change we noticed was to the fingerprint registration process. Firstly, at the start of the registration process, color palette elements have been applied to the header and fingerprint icons, and also the tips subtitle has been removed, with bullet points and color being applied to the tips write-up section. When you click continue and set your preferred backup screen lock method, you are then taken to a pre-animation of the fingerprint registration process with a new write-up that shows you how to complete the setup. Once you click on register, you are then taken to a more minimal setup page which almost mimics the look of an always-on display. Let's look at the subtle small details here. You can see a circular pulsing animation around the new green color for the fingerprint icon. When you press on the fingerprint landing area to register, there is a clockwise green animation followed by a haptic feedback for registration. When registering at each stage until you hit 100%, you can notice the position of the fingerprint icon changes and moves slightly each time. Taking a look at the Galleries app, there is a new layout to the Stories section with color palette applied to the headers and titles, with a more immersive playback experience with the Stories titles embedded on the thumbnail preview window. Under the device care settings, in the additional care subsection, there is now a new auto optimization option. The description here states that device care auto performs optimizations to keep your phone running smoothly, which can include closing background apps and cleaning memory. When the restart when needed toggle is enabled, it states this only happens when you are not using your phone. There's also been a relocation of the modes and Bixby routines, which is now directly in the settings menu. Based on the changelog and what we can see so far in this first look and breakdown, it looks like mostly fixes have been applied to things like the home screen animations, closing folders animations, gesture fixes, and widgets on the lock screen and home screen. Speaking of animations, we've noticed in our initial testing and experience that they've greatly improved in the overall fluidity, responsiveness, and consistency, with beta 3 feeling a lot smoother than before. This is a bigger change and addition and fix to Samsung's version of Android 13 with One UI 5 beta 3 than we were expecting, and further shows just how serious Samsung are for the best One UI 5 experience come the final release. Speaking of the final release, we are still expecting this to be around and between October the 15th and 17th. Could we expect one last beta 4 release before the official OTA release? Let us know in the comment section below. For the latest news in the world of Samsung Daily, be sure to visit us at SamMobile.com. And for the latest videos on YouTube with SamMobile TV, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, and we'll see you next time.